Hello, good evening, good day, good morning, or good night, wherever you are in the world. If you're returning to the Black Belt Academy of Surgical Skills, thank you. And if this is the first time you have signed in to see us live, welcome. My name is David O'Regan. I am a cardiac surgeon in Yorkshire in the United Kingdom, and I'm also the director of the Faculty of Surgical Trainers for the Royal College of Surgeons of Edinburgh. Tonight we're going to be talking about assisting. And most of our surgical careers start with assisting. And I do recall as an SHO standing holding a diva retractor and a cholecystectomy, which was a long blade instrument with no handle that was most uncomfortable to hold to retract the liver. I couldn't see a thing during the operation. All I had to do is stand there and hold the retractor. But of course, retraction is important for access. Lloyd Barclay Moynihan said, "Surgical experience is a posy of other men's flowers." And you, as a trainee, have an opportunity of watching many surgeons as you train operate. The important thing is to learn the tips and tricks and pick your own flowers from what they're doing to put together your posy for your practice in the future. One of my favorite annuals when I was growing up was the Look and Learn annual. And that's what assisting is all about, is looking and learning. But to enable you to get the best out of assisting, it is worthwhile doing a little bit of homework beforehand to understand what the operation is about. And before you assist, I usually recommend you stand at the top of the table, and you're looking at me from the head end of the table, and actually watch the operation so you understand its relative parts. I recall assisting my first time at an operation was rather scary because I didn't know what to do with the principles. This annual was given to me in 1975 when I was 14, and I'm delighted this evening to introduce my assistant, who my son is 14 too. Alistair, come and join me. Thank you very much. So, Alistair and I both trained in karate. And one of the first things I want to show you is that assisting is a bit like dancing, but it's a bit more than that. And one exercise we've had fun doing in karate is, Alistair, try and touch the side of my head. Go on. Go on. Both hands. Go on. Go on. Go on. And I'll try and block. Go on. Go on. Not successful. And again. And again. Again. Okay. All right. So I'm going to close my eyes now. You try again. Okay. All right. Try again. Try again. All right. Try and reach my hands. All right, so what I'm trying to demonstrate here is, in fact, with my eyes open, I react. Don't try to hit the side of my head. However, if I close my eyes, my arms will follow his arms, and therefore I can understand the movement. And that is a bit like dancing, is lead and the follower are following the movement. And in many respects, being a good assistant is trying to understand how to move with the primary surgeon such that you feel comfortable and you don't get in the way. Now, the first thing to notice, my son is 14 and I haven't had to adjust the height of the table. Didn't seem like just the other day it was down there below the height of the table and I'd certainly have to adjust the height. But it's important that the operating surgeon and the assistant are at the same height. Now, one of my trainees was 6'6", and I was the first trainer to stand on a step while I operated so he could assist me properly. And I stood on a step when I assisted him and he operated. The important thing is that you're both at the same height. And I ask you to look next time you're in theatre whether you've adjusted the tables accordingly. So the movement around the table is a bit like a dance per vein, that 18th century slow movement dance. In essence, we need to keep our shoulders parallel throughout the operation. So put your arms. So if I move to my left, Alistair moves round the other way. If I move to the right, Alistair moves the other way. So in essence, however I move all the time, our shoulders are parallel. And this is actually quite important for you as an assistant, because the last thing you want to do is get in the way of the operating surgeon. And a bit like driving a car, you would not think about crossing the midline of the road because that's dangerous. I would say to you, do not cross the midline between the operating surgeon and the assistant. So if I just adjust this slightly, the camera, so you can look down, what we're doing is at the moment, a line of axis is straight. If I turn to my right, to keep that line of axis, Alistair turns the other way. Now I turn to my left, to keep that line of axis, again, Alistair turns away. So at no stage is there any risk of reaching your hands across the middle, across the midline of the table. The other important midline to remember is do not move your hands across your own midline. As soon as you do that, you'll find your hands will get in the way. And if you're having to move across the midline, swap the instrument to the other hand and vice versa. All right? Important skills to remember. Essentially, and I'm going to move you to a platform now so we can watch the hand movement. Now we understand the body movement, keeping the midline between us. So hold on tight, webcam's moving, and I've adjusted the angle on my table, and I hope now you have got a better picture of the table. So Alistair, bring your hands in. So if I'm operating in the middle area here, all right, Alistair, hold that forceps. The other important thing is, as an assistant, never stand at the table without a pair of forceps in your hand, okay? And if you have to rest your hand anywhere, please rest it on the table in sight, so at least the surgeon knows that it's still in the sterile field, but it's there and ready to pick up things if we should need it, okay? So I'm operating in the middle, and Alistair's hands on the outside. And if I move around, again, Alistair's hands still on the outside, and I move around again, and his hands are still on the outside, and can operate. So this is important when following on a piece of string. So we're going to start from this side, and I'm just going to adjust the camera angle a little bit. So following, so imagine this is a suture. Now if you hold it too tight, I cannot get down to stitch. So the recommended length for following is 2/5, 2/5, 3/5, 2/5, 3/5. So I haven't got loops to trip over, and the suture is maintained. Now, my first experience in cardiac surgery was with Jim Monroe, Gentleman Jim he was called, and you're following a 7/0 proline, and I must say I was doing this without breakfast, thinking it would be a short operation, and how wrong I was. But to follow properly, it is important to have the tension held out in the direction the surgeon holds the suture. And also important that your finger and thumb are pointing in the direction such that if the suture is pulled away, it's not going to catch on your finger. All right? If the suture is pulled away, it's not going to catch on your finger. Because if I grip it the other way and take the suture, you can see it's going to catch on my finger. And that will either tear out of the bowel or tear out of a vessel. So as we go round the simulated operation I've got here, and we'll move on to actual stitching in a moment, but to practice with Alistair and how to assist, I'm going to ask him to follow me. So would you like to follow with your left hand? He brought in a pair of forceps to hold a suture. Remember, the forceps will actually crush the suture and damage it. So do hold that finger and thumb in the direction. So imagine that I'm stitching towards myself, and that's the basic principle in surgery. Always stitch towards yourself so you're not tripping over your sutures. So take a stitch, let go please, and up. Follow again, good position, and up. Okay, remember to let go. Take tension, all right. 2/5, 3/5, take a stitch, let go, and up. And hold it up again. Take 2/5, and up. So if I come around this side, take a stitch, come up, not too far, Alistair, 2/5, 3/5, there you go. And there you go, let go, remember to let go, and up. Now, one cue that the surgeon will give you for taking the tension, they'll take it up at an angle that he or she wants, hold the tension and pause slightly. That is your cue as an assistant to take up the tension of the suture. So if I pause out, there you go. Now I'm going to have to change position because they're coming around this anastomosis and they're coming around this way. And very good. Alistair automatically swapped hands and is now holding the tension out the other direction. But if I put a forceps in his hand, I wonder if we remember to swap the forceps over when I come round. Not yet, but further. Come up. And very good. I note you keeping your shoulders parallel to me all the time. Let go. All right. So we've just gone round an anastomosis, and we're going to try it now, as you are familiar with already with the Black Belt Academy series, the banana model. So you will see, although that was a gross illustration on the plate, a more simple illustration, and more like reality, is following this prolene as I stitch the banana. So there you go out, finger and thumb towards and hold the tension. Now, the interesting thing is with the banana, if it catches an Alistair's finger, it'll tear out the banana. All right? So it'll give you a real idea of if it's working or not. So I'm going to continue stitching around. And I'm going to say let go for the moment. And hopefully Alistair will pick up the rhythm. Wait for a moment, don't reach in. Wait for me to pause and hold it out. There you go. And hold. Good. Keep the tension out in the direction it was meant to be. And we take another suture. Now, all this, when you understand the basics and what is required, becomes part of the natural rhythm and natural flow of an operation. And that is why good assistants make good surgeons, and good surgeons make good assistants. There was a lot of Twitter feed recently about assisting and how, as surgeons, we do enjoy. Keep the tension out a little bit further out and come round a bit with your hand. There you go. Good. Now, if you do drop it too close, don't put your hand in and reach and pick it up. Wait for the surgeon to pick it up and pass it to you. And as we come round again, let go. And actually, in a very short period of time, Alistair's picked up the rhythm. Now, the most difficult stitch in surgery is stitching towards yourself, as I am here. So I'm going to go to backhand now, and see that Alistair's immediately moved his body round to maintain the midline between us. And we're now going to follow, and he swapped hands and follow again. I'm using a 3/0 purlin here on this banana. And continuing the suture around. Good. And at no stage during that was the suture caught, and it enabled for good, accurate stitching around the banana, as we've seen before, with a clean punctum. And that all comes from understanding the movement and flow of the operation. And as your surgeon moves, you're moving. And sometimes it could be very simple. Just bring your hands in now. Very simple. If I change my weight to my right leg, you'll see my pelvis is tilted. My shoulders therefore tilt. You as assistant also change your weight to that leg. If I actually then change my weight to my left leg, my pelvis is tilted again and my shoulders done. And that is a very simple way of changing your movement rather than stepping deliberately either side. It's shifting the weight from one side to another, but in doing so, we've kept our shoulders steady. Now, there's another important function, apart from assisting and following a suture, that a surgeon will ask you to do. And I must say, when I started surgery, this was all fingers and thumbs and clumsy. So I've been practicing with Alistair this evening. Hemostats are applied to vessels, but you need to take them off properly such that the surgeon can tie the knot properly. So the one way to do that is you hold it up, allow the surgeon to go round, lift it up to show the point of the hemostat so you can see the ligature going round the base of the hemostat, and then turning it towards yourself to allow the surgeon to see the knot bedding down. So let's see how we do. Hold that up, Al. And very good. Okay, hold it up. Hold it up. So you hold it vertical gently. All right. So enable the surgeon to get the suture around. You turn it down. So you lift the point up to enable the surgeon to see the ligatures there. And then you roll it towards yourself to enable the surgeon to then put the knot down. Okay. And a simple lift, tilt it up and down. Lift, tilt it up and down. Now there's one little other trick that the surgeon might indeed ask you to do. It's called an ease and squeeze. So lift it up, Alistair. Lift the point up. Turn it towards you. Good. And now you're going to, as I apply this ligature, you're going to take it off slightly. Take it off. Okay, and put it back on. Put it back on. Brilliant. And that's his first time doing that. And that's called an ease and squeeze. And that enables the tissue to be gathered within the hemostat as you ease and squeeze. Let's try this side. I'm not going to tell you what it is. I'm going to tie this off, and lift it gently. Very good. Lift it up, lift the point, and next point, turn it towards yourself. Excellent. There you go. And enables me to accurately put the stitch on. Now, one other thing. You'll be asked to cut during an operation and to cut a suture. Okay? What I don't want to see is that the scissors come in from wide into an operation, cut, and with a flourish, exit. Cutting with scissors is deliberate. Do remember only to use the tips, all right? If you're uncertain or nervous, take the scissors in and support them either with a forceps or with your finger. Open them only enough to do the job, cut the suture, and take your scissors away. Into the wound, open enough to cut the suture, cut and take it away. Separate those movements so you're not actually inadvertently cutting anything without paying attention. As I said before, when you're cutting and using scissors, see if you can, and surgeon will say 2 centimeters or 1 centimeter, see if you can actually cut that. Deliberately in, deliberately out. And I'm going to come back to overhead cam. Now I hope these simple things and little tips and tricks are helping you with your surgery. What was interesting, we were in a lesson in karate on Saturday when we were focusing on techniques of our kicking. And it was very interesting that the sensei was picking us up on our basic techniques for front kicks and round kicks and side kicks. And to get the power and the speed, you cannot do that without focusing on the technique. And he picked us both up on our foot positions being 10 degrees out to enable that tilt in the pelvis to get the chamber of the leg up, to get the kick in. It's only by paying attention to these basic skills and techniques and practicing them each time you go into theatre that I believe you'll find your own rhythm, your own flow, and your own power and skill will come through. I certainly hope this has made sense to you. I've enjoyed Alistair being with me this evening. Caught you, all right? And I think he did absolutely fantastically well for somebody who hasn't done surgery at all in the past. But these, as you see, are easily seen. Don't go out of sight. So thank you very much indeed for joining the Black Belt Academy of Surgical Skills. We hope to see you next week. We're going to go back to the cycle and then look at stitching from another angle. Wherever you are in the world, it's a good night, good day, good morning. I hope you are safe. I hope you now understand you can practice at home. This is on an ironing board with low fidelity models, and you can keep your skills up to date. Thank you very much indeed. If you've got any comments, please share. Please visit the website bbass.org. Thank you. Be safe and good night. You know, say cheers, Alistair. Say bye. Bye. All right. Thank you very much. Well done. I thought you were good. Really? Is it? Okay. Thank you, Al.